what a lot of people don't know is that over apologizing is often a compulsive behavior driven by relationship anxiety or relationship OCD, and it actually weakens your communication and it erodes your self confidence. In this episode, we're going to recognize when you are apologizing compulsively versus appropriately, and we're going to implement specific strategies to help you break the cycle while maintaining healthy accountability. If you're new here, I'm Erin. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow the show so you never miss a weekly update. So here's the thing. You can still be empowered and take responsibility inappropriate without diminishing who you are, and you don't have to express your needs or your thoughts or your boundaries with constant apologizing. If you're in this boat, maybe you're that type of person who apologizes for everything, even when it's not your fault. You may even find yourself apologizing or saying sorry multiple times in the same conversation. And it's like you can't stop, or you may even apologize before you say anything. But here's the thing, every person can take appropriate responsibility without falling into the trap of compulsive apologizing. Over apologizing isn't just an annoying habit. It's often a compulsion that serves a function to try to bring you temporary relief from anxiety. But like all compulsions, it actually reinforces the underlying anxiety and creates new problems in your relationships. It makes you look less competent. It also weakens your real apologies. So there were several studies done on this, and the results are shocking. So, in a 2014 study by Basford, Offerman, and Barron in the Journal of Business and Psychology, found that excessive apologizing diminished perceived leadership effectiveness. Leaders who apologized frequently were rated as less competent and less confident by their team members. Another study back in 2013 by Walfish and Kark showed that over apologizers in the workplace were less likely to be considered for promotion compared to colleagues who apologized selectively and appropriately. Then, in a 2019 study done by Harvard, they found that professionals who prefaced all of their ideas with, sorry, but I think, or I'm sorry if this is wrong, but had their suggestions implemented 25% less often than those who presented their ideas confidently. In another study, just the icing on the cake, in the Stanford Graduate School of Business research, they showed that job candidates who used apologies during interviews when there wasn't an apology warranted, they were actually rated as less qualified than other candidates who didn't use apologies. So, there are lots of problems that can come from over apologizing. Not only does it affect your confidence in the workplace, your relationship at home, but it also internally feeds that anxiety spiral. We don't want to do that. And y'all are not alone in feeling this way, because I myself used to suffer from this over apologizing scenario where I couldn't help myself but just say sorry. And on top of that, I would probably cry. And my husband can attest that it was quite frustrating to get through a conversation. He was like, there's no need to cry. Nothing's on fire. So once I started realizing the difference between taking appropriate responsibility and reframing my words, completely removing the I'm sorry or I apologize for when I hadn't done anything wrong, the confidence in myself shifted. My words seemed more clear. Messages landed a lot better and conversations flowed. The conversation was a lot more practical and logistical, and it wasn't so emotional. Let me give you some other examples. Maybe you will apologize just for asking someone to pass you the salt, or you'll say, I'm sorry 17 times during a therapy session. And y'all, for the last time, you don't have to say sorry in a therapy session. We're there to listen, to help you, and all the things. Or maybe you're that executive who says, I'm sorry for taking up so much time when you're supposed to be there in a meeting leading it anyway. Or maybe you've noticed that constant apologizing is annoying the heck out of your partner. There's a quote out there by Mark Matthews that says, apologizing does not always mean you're wrong and the other person is right. It just means you value your relationship more than your ego. And I think that's key. Like, we don't need to throw out blame or point fingers, especially when there's not been any wrongdoing. There might be a misunderstanding or miscommunication, but that doesn't inherently mean that you've done something quote unquote bad. Let me outline a few key points about compulsive apologizing. First, you are apologizing for things that are entirely outside of your control. You are apologizing preemptively before asking for something when you are okay and have every right to ask for this request. Or maybe you apologize multiple times for the same thing, seeking repeated reassurance. Number four, you feel intense anxiety until the other person explicitly accepts your apology. Whew, been there. Number five, you apologize for having needs, opinions, or taking up space. Last but not least, you apologize as an automatic response to any tension, whether you're involved or not. Let's talk about those practical strategies to break the cycle. Now that you understand where this problem hurts you in all facets of life and realms, let's talk about solutions. First step, as always, is awareness. Maybe you already know you say, I'm sorry, too much. What would be really helpful for you is to bring some awareness to those situations when you feel the urge to say, I'm sorry. Ask yourself the question, am I saying this because I've done something bad or wrong? Or am I just trying to relieve my anxiety? And part of that awareness, maybe you apologize more with certain people or in certain situations, or when you're feeling a particular emotion. Next, start to think about the difference between responsibility and blame. You deserve not to blame yourself for everything. So, a healthy sense of responsibility sounds like I recognize my part in this situation and I will work to address it. Whereas unhealthy blame is everything's my fault. I'm such a terrible person. I'm sorry. So, again, ask yourself when you get that urge to apologize, is this actually my responsibility? Or am I taking blame on something that doesn't belong to me? Another action step is create a pause. Pauses are excellent, y'all, even if it is for 10 seconds. 10 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but it really is when you're in a conversation. So when you feel the urge to say, I'm sorry, try to create a brief pause, take a breath. That's when you're bringing in the awareness and you're asking yourself, have I actually done something that warrants an apology? Is this apology serving to take appropriate responsibility, or is it a compulsion to reduce my anxiety? What might be a more accurate and self-reflecting response in this situation? That pause is going to interrupt the automatic nature of the compulsion. And that's what we want to do. We want to create these pattern interrupts. Number four, my favorite, we're going to start creating alternative responses to this stuff. Instead of saying, I'm sorry, you can try these instead. So in the event that you're late, you can try, thank you for waiting. Thank you for your patience. So instead of saying, sorry to bother you, you can try, do you have a moment to talk? There's something I'd like to run by you. When are you free? Instead of saying, sorry for asking, you can say, I'd appreciate your help with something. Your partner comes home, they've had a rough day. You feel the urge to say, sorry, you had a bad day. Instead, try saying, oh, that sounds really tough. Try the empathy. Get out of your head. Use you statements as much as possible. Keep the flow focused on your partner or the goal of the team. Whatever is happening, keep it off of you. And that's going to help interrupt that anxiety spiral as well. Not everything is your responsibility, and you don't need to fall on the sword for everything. There is a difference between healthy accountability and compulsive apologizing. That compulsive apologizing is likely a form of relationship anxiety, and you're just trying to feel better, okay? Because that compulsive apologizing actually makes things worse. Your message gets diluted. People don't take you seriously. They see you as less confident. It also creates emotional labor for others. You're reinforcing your own insecurities, and you're ultimately not creating deeper conversations. So in addition to those other talking points, I've got more talking points for you. If you need help in navigating difficult conversations, you can get a link to that in the show notes. I encourage you to try this for at least 1 week where you are intentional and mindful about your apologies. See what happens. You can do it. You can tolerate the discomfort, and you can practice these new ideas. Come back next week where I'm going to be speaking with a parenting expert, Bryce Hamilton, and she's going to give us the lowdown on how to parent your anxious kid. Hope you have a fabulous weekend and stay blessed by the best. Bye.